Hi, it's Monday night and it's Lisa Kneller here with Unstuck the Road to Reinvention. I think some of you who are watching know that I'm a life coach. That's what I do. I help people have happier lives, more fun, better, all those things, nicer, nicer life. And I love to share stories of reinvention because, as you know, we all go through changes throughout our lives. Stuff changes and we end up reinventing our lives. And I love to share these stories. And tonight I have an amazing guest. Her name is AJ Arias. And am I pronouncing that right? Is it Arias or Arias?
Arias, like the letters.
Arias.
Yeah.
AJ Arias. So I want to get it right, so I'm not embarrassed to ask.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to read her bio in a second, but I wanted to tell you how I know AJ. So I was teaching yoga at a church, Genesis Church, about, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever. I taught there for a few years, and AJ came to my classes, and she was also a yoga teacher. And so so I had her sub for me sometimes, like when I wasn't there, she would teach the classes. And I loved it when she was there. Number one, because she's a yoga teacher and she really loved the practice. And two, because she was so deep. I love her depth as a woman, as a mother, a spouse, and a writer and a spiritual person. And we had a lot of deep talks back in the day. And then we sort of kind of drifted apart. But, thank God for Facebook because we get to see each other a little bit here and there. So I found out through a mutual friend of ours that AJ had started a nonprofit to fight sex trafficking. Not so much fight it, but help women heal from the tragedy and the trauma of it. So I invited her to come on with me and talk about her story of reinvention. And I'm just going to give a little background of what she gave me, and then we'll get started. Okay. So AJ Arias is a mommy turned nonprofit founder from sunny Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. After caring for her husband and 4 children for 22 years, in January of 2020, she received inspiration to begin a sustainable horse ranch that is a home and place of healing for girls rescued from sex trafficking. In her enthusiasm, she built a team of 8 within 2 weeks, and that team grew to around 30 in a year and a half. That's extraordinary. Together, they developed the business plan, created financial projections, formed a board, filmed a commercial, and jumped through all the hoops for applying for a nonprofit 501c3 status. And that is no easy feat. So called Applejack's Ranch, which is such a beautiful name, her nonprofit is looking for the property and capital to begin building. So there's a lot going on foundation wise right now, but there is a huge vision. And I'm super excited because sex trafficking is one of those things I abhor. And I think it's, people need healing. So AJ stepping up to the plate. And so AJ, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on the show. Thank you. Any media exposure we can get around the cause is huge for us. So we're always very thankful when somebody invites us to a show. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And so those of you who are watching now, invite a friend and share the video because this is important stuff. Okay, please. So AJ, we want to start with your story. So give us your background. Tell us all the things. You know what to say. I don't need to ask you what to say.
I just love what you decided to do with this show, that you decided to focus on women in particular, but just people reinventing themselves from what they were before to something that is their dream and their passion. That's huge. And that really is the story of my life. When I became a mother, I really didn't realize, how God has different ideas about what your life's going to look like than you might have. So my first child had celiac disease and my second child had autism. And then my next 2 children, I have 4, had food allergies. So here I had all of these children with these special needs that I didn't really I didn't see it coming. I expected raising children to look very typical, and it did not. So I was a little bit overwhelmed, I should say, those first few years. It really felt like motherhood had taken over my life, and in a way that I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help these little babies with what they needed. I just knew I needed to help them. So I started my study of autism, and my daughter, we really didn't know she had celiac till she was a teenager. And the reason for that is we thought she had something akin to bipolar disorder. Her moods were all over the place. She was very difficult to handle. But when we moved into eating gluten-free, for the sake of my autistic son, we just had the whole family eat gluten-free. Suddenly everything calmed down with her. And that's when we were able to discover what was really going on. So here I was creating an organic and everything from scratch diet for these little babies, and seeing my own medical issues and my husband's medical issues evaporate with the good food. And I felt tied to the kitchen. So it was just this thing where I didn't enroll or sign up to get a job as a cook. I just ended up as a job as a cook. I was everybody's chef. And that was what I was doing for a lot of my time. It was very time consuming. When we started with it, there were not very many gluten-free products. So I was trying to use buckwheat and amaranth and all sorts of crazy things to make pancakes without the help of any wheat. And it was crazy, but we were working through it. And we eventually got to a place where it became easier and society started to catch up, and people were realizing there's gluten sensitivity was sort of widespread. And so it came to meet us. After those 22 years, I then had kids that were mostly independent. And I looked up one day and realized my head was above water. And I wondered what to do with all this wonderful time I suddenly had. Like, I thought, given the children I had, this was a long-term commitment. I was mom forever, and I was just going to need to do this. I didn't know there was going to be like this second life I would suddenly get, where they sort of knew how to feed themselves now. They had learned how to do the cooking, and they didn't need mom as much. They're teenagers. They had their Xboxes and all these other kinds of things to distract them in their social lives. So all of a sudden I had all this time. I tried a whole bunch of things. I really didn't know what to do. I'd always wanted to be a career woman and a mother. I had picked mother because I thought I had to pick one or the other. Then all of a sudden I got this opportunity to do both. What do I want to do? So I tried selling cabbie clothes for a while, and that didn't end up working out, although I had a wonderful team and it was a fun time. I decided to Netflix binge for 3 months straight. That didn't work.
I'd sign up for that.
Yeah. After 3 months, you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I actually found it to be depressing, just sitting there and doing whatever with my time, like a woman of leisure, was not any fun for me. I was someone who wanted to make a difference.
Yeah.
I did go through a whole bunch of personal development courses that were offered by Psy Seminars. They were beautiful, wonderful courses, totally life-changing. And one of them was about leadership of self. It was a women's leadership seminar. And they gave us 24 hours on this ranch to ourselves to meditate on just whatever needed to be like worked through for us. And that was one of the things I wanted to know. What is my life about now? So I went through, where am I happiest? That, what does my heart want? And asked that question. And the answer I got was, well, I'm happiest in nature. I'm happiest in places like this ranch. I'm happiest when I'm camping or, something like that. So I have found that those have been the happiest times of my life, that nature is a very healing place for me. She's a very good friend of mine who's only done me good. So I decided I wanted to start a ranch where people heal. However, I knew that a certain population would go there, and I didn't know who it was. It was one of those premonitions. I can tell I'm not quite ready for this, but this is what I'm going to do. So it sat on the back burner for a few years, about 3 years. And then in January of 2020, before the COVID hit everything, I was reading some articles about 3 survivors of sex trafficking that didn't just survive it. They became heroes, leading other people out of the darkness. And they had started their own nonprofits. It was beautiful. It was so inspiring to me. And suddenly the lightning bolt hit and the 2 ideas met. And I went, oh, my ranch is for these women, because this particular cause, like no other cause on the planet, had always been heart-wrenching to me. It had
Yes.
given me the feeling of, I have to do something about it. It's not enough that I just send money to some company somewhere. I have to some organization. I have to do the job myself. I need to be part of this solution.
Yeah.
I cannot stand to sit by and let someone else do it. I have to be part of it. So I had always had that feeling. So that day when I had those two ideas meet, it really was like a lightning bolt. It made me jump up off my couch. I was so excited. I ran downstairs. I ran into my husband's office and I said to him, I know what I'm doing with the rest of my life. So he was, of course, very interested in such a monumental statement, and asked me what it was. I told him what I wanted to do. And he said, I can make it better. And I'm like, what do you mean you can make it better? He said, make it organic and sustainable. It takes care of Mother Earth and her people and her animals. And you have this love and belonging throughout. There's integrity in everything you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such music to my ears. Wow. That was music to my ears. I told him that you were divinely inspired just then. That was beautiful. So that became an essential foundational part of my dream. It took me a couple days to tell people what I wanted to do. I knew I really wanted to do it, but what happens when you step into your greatness? It's a little scary, right? That means
very scary.
I'm going to have to become fully everything all my potential is going to have to come out. This is going to take all of me, 100% in. I hadn't done that before. So everything else, I was sort of treating life like it was happening to me, not I was happening to it, right? And this would mean me happening to life, right? Mm-hmm. So finally, I got up the guts and told two girlfriends, and one of those girlfriends gentles Mustangs, and she's a vet tech for large and small animals. And she said, you have to have equine therapy. The girls could take care of their own horse and have this relationship with their horse they care for. You'd have no idea the bond. It's a beautiful bond. She explained that these horses who are so big and powerful, these girls are coming out of a place in life where they have been taken advantage of by people who are more physically powerful than them over and over. Yeah. And this is a way to reverse this feeling of everything big and powerful is dangerous and scary. You have this horse that weighs how many tons or whatever. It's a huge animal, 2 tons, thank you. Mm-hmm. And huge, muscular, powerful animal. And it is not about hurting you. It is about loving you. Right. So it's that bond of something that wants to love and protect me rather than hurt me that is going to be a new and powerful experience for these girls. So I immediately decided that was the third piece. I had my whole dream now. These were the essentials that I would not negotiate on. So I put it out there. I'm God, universe, whatever. You can do as you will, but these things have to be present. Just make it happen. So within 2 weeks, I had told everybody I know, and then I had those first 8 people. And the people that weren't able to help knew someone else that might help, right? And the networking began, and it just started blowing up. I didn't even have to try because this subject speaks for itself. People want to help. They want to be involved. They want to make a difference in this area. They know how atrocious it is. Mm-hmm. So that is how it grew so fast. Then I would probably want to mention also that in April, I was meditating and saw the United States, a dark map like at night with everything dark. And then I saw these little lights light up in the Southwest and start to spread across the United States. And I just knew, just somehow, that these were all the souls whose lives we were going to touch with the ranches, plural, that we were going to start. Oh, wow. And I woke up from that meditation going, okay, up there, I just want you to know that this one ranch feels a little bit big for my britches. And now you're saying more than one. So I went and looked at it, and statistically, there's 1,350 long-term beds for this population. There's a lot of 180-day or 90-day programs. Mm-hmm. After that, they usually get returned to either foster care if they're a minor, or to their family of origin, which may have had the dysfunction that caused them to be on the streets to begin with. Yeah. Or they're returned to a domestic shelter if they're an adult. So they're sharing these different long-term places to stay with other populations and not really getting the services they need anymore. 90 days or 180 days is not enough time with that dedicated attention to get over those years of trauma that happen nightly.
Right.
So it's just not what they need. It's not the support they need. I really feel, and I'm sure you agree, that it's owed to them to have that healing and that attention that they, society has ruined their childhood. It's owed to them that they can have a future that's bright and full of hope. So that's why we really feel it needs to be a long-term care facility that allows the girls to stay as long as it's needed. So they'll be placed around 12 to 18 years, but they can stay up through associate's or bachelor's degree. And when they're ready, move on with that job and new home in place and with that mental, emotional stability in place. So they
may never want to leave.
I know, right?
Yeah, because it's going to be such a loving, great place. But of course, they're going to have to graduate at some point, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we came up with a plan on how to do this, because I don't know if you've noticed, but generally speaking, homes of this nature have to fundraise just to keep that roof over those heads, like constantly. And it's a little bit of a worry all the time that breaks a lot of these nonprofits down. Are we going to be able to make this next month's budget based on the fundraising we did this last month? So we didn't really want to be doing that kind of rat wheel, just constantly at it with the fundraising. In order to do more than one ranch, we didn't think that that model would work. So we talked to a lawyer, we talked to some business specialists, and we decided to get the ranch to be a working ranch that's self-sustaining in 3 to 5 years. So that by that 3rd, 4th, 5th year, we're starting to raise funds for the next ranch, because this ranch is supporting itself. So that is our plan right now, as to how to do that expansion. And our new big goal since April is a ranch in every state, 100 survivors at every ranch. So that's where we are right now.
I think you have your work cut out for you, AJ. That's extraordinary.
I know, but it is fun. I wake up every day watching miracles happen with the people, what people are willing to do. So I actually love this. Stepping into your passion, you love what you're doing every day. So it's been good. It's really been good.
Yeah, I imagine it's hard to go to sleep at night when your mind is spinning of all the things that, you know, you've done already, but all the ideas that are coming to you and the things that you have yet to do and all of that. But I hope you're getting some sleep, you know, with all of that.
I cannot do coffee. No, cannot do coffee. Or
no coffee.
I already have enough energy without it. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I heard about Applejack's Ranch when I was at a horse ranch and experiencing the, what would you call it? The relationship between the horse and the person there. Well, yeah. So me and this big horse. And I did experience some interesting feelings while I was with this horse, with this one particular horse. And I could see the power of transformation that was happening within myself and the people that were there. And so I was really intrigued by this idea. And while I was there is when I heard about you putting together this ranch. So
awesome. Love it that you're hearing about me.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your vision and what you're going to be doing, but also what is sex trafficking? Can you talk about what that is and what some of the myths are and misconceptions?
Absolutely. There are a lot of misconceptions around it. It is the forced prostitution of another individual for commercial profit. It's about $100 billion black market industry worldwide. So they make a lot of money. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense from a business point of view, because if you're selling drugs, which is just above sex trafficking and how much it makes per year, cocaine or heroin or something like that, you have to let go of your product to get the money. And then you never see that product again. With the girls or the young men that they're trafficking, they can use the same product over and over and over again and just keep getting cash from it. So this is sort of the motivation behind it. It is very, can make you rich very fast. The people that are trafficked rarely see much of any of the money. They are not getting rich from this. It is not a good proposition for them at all. People think that people go into trafficking because it's a choice. It's usually out of desperation. It's over, I think it was over 95% out of, I had no other choice. when they last were, getting a statistic from that. And I think 99% was the statistic of I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else. So even those women who call themselves proudly prostitutes and say they're living the life, which is the lingo, they wouldn't recommend it to anyone else. And they only did it because they had no other way at the time. And now they feel stuck. With the pimps who are in control of them, they're using threats, coercion, manipulation. They'll threaten their pets. They'll threaten family members. They'll threaten their reputation to keep them in line. So prostitution really is sex trafficking. We just gave it a new name. Another myth that people don't understand is they think trafficking has to do with kidnapping someone and taking them across state lines or to a different country, and then you're trafficked because you got moved. It doesn't have anything to do with movement. It's actually yes, it just means you're moving goods, like goods and services trafficking. It's not moving in a car like in traffic. That's
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to ask you this because I remember when I was teaching yoga at the West End Hotel, and I remember in some of our training that we were trained to look out for people that might be using the hotel for the movement of victims. Yes. And that, I mean, when you think about the number of hotels out there and the various places that people can be dragged into under threat, it's got to be pretty big. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah, and that is a pretty common scenario for them to use hotel rooms. People don't ask questions. You can go in and get a hotel room as a grown man and then bring in someone they don't even know you brought with them to that room. So it's a pretty easy scenario. So I'm very glad that there's awareness being called around that for the people working at or around the hotel, even if it's temporarily. That's awesome. Another misunderstanding is that this is something that happens with strangers, but unfortunately, with dysfunctional families, sometimes trafficking happens within the family, your own family selling you. It's also another myth that you're standing on the street and this white van pulls up, somebody grabs you, yanks you into the van, putting something over your, gagging you, and takes you off to wherever. And that's really uncommon. I know it does happen. It's more common in a third world country situation than here. However, here it's online and they don't care about demographics. They don't care how white you are, how rich you are. They don't what neighborhood you're from. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, are you feeling desperate? Mm-hmm. Are you desperate for love and attention? Are you unhappy where you are?
Yeah.
Are you willing to take the risk to come and see them? That kind of thing. So they'll go online and they'll establish a relationship with these girls. There's different kinds of pimps. One's called a CEO pimp, a boyfriend pimp, and a gorilla pimp. Those are the main three. So the boyfriend pimp says, you're beautiful, to a girl that's never hearing that from anyone else, and says, I will love you forever and I'll treat you like a queen. You're the most amazing thing in my life. And establishes that feeling of I'm so important to him, and then isolates the girl and says, I just need you to do this because we're short on money, this kind of thing. And that's how they get them into it. The CEO pimp is all about giving them this once in a lifetime opportunity to become a singer or a model or a dancer or something, and says, if you come with me, I can be your agent, and then gets them isolated from, and they can get the family's trust. They can trick the family in those cases. Yeah. And with the gorilla pimp, that's the one everybody thinks of. They forced you into a van. They're using violence mostly and threats to keep you under control. So that's sort of and Facebook is the worst. I mean, it's the worst site for it. We just had news come out that Texas is planning on, it may sue Facebook or hold, I can't remember how they put it, holding Facebook liable for any trafficking going on that is connected to Facebook. Yes. They said they don't want Facebook to be a lawless no man's land. So that was a recent thing that came out, that Facebook might be held responsible for anything that transpires on their platform, so that they will take a closer look and watch better what is happening. So that's a step forward, I think.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of an overview of the situation.
Yeah. Thank you for that, because honestly, I really thought of it as more the guerrilla type pimp, and
Yes.
that's due to some of the movies out there and some of the
Yes.
stories you hear, and it just, people believe that that's the way it is. And like you said, maybe once in a while it is, but that's not the majority. So, okay. But you know what? We're going to have to do another one of these and maybe talk about awareness and prevention of these kinds of things within families and stuff like that. Maybe,
Yes.
helping young women have more self-esteem just by getting them to understand who they really are in the eyes of God and that kind of thing.
That'd be a beautiful idea. Yes.
Yeah, because if they could just get one little message that they're good enough as they are, then they won't succumb to something like that. All right, you kind of touched on this, but like, what is your dream? What will Applejack's Ranch look like? Let's just start with the first one.
Yeah, let's just do one for now. Let's get this first one up. Yes, that's enough for me, for sure. Yes, we want it to look like, we want it to have the equine therapy open to, well, I don't know where to start, but open to the public and be a separate section, right? And then the housing is going to be in a, closed off from the public. So they'll have a walled in secured area, because that equine therapy is going to make most of the money for getting the ranch self-sustaining, right?
Oh, okay.
It also provides for the girls an opportunities when they go through enough of the therapy and the healing that they're ready to transition back into public. They can start working for us and volunteering with us to help with the equine therapy and have their first job be there on site where they're interacting with the public again.
Uh-huh.
So we have a group of therapists that are going to be working with the girls. And for our therapy, our motto is that we don't want to re-traumatize. So we want to gently approach the therapy. So we have music and art and yoga and ways to help with these girls that is not going to re-traumatize. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of experts getting on the team with that. We have about 7 right now with different modalities that know that this is about customizing it for the girl as well. It's not about fitting it into one size fits all type of therapy, but about customizing it to what's working and not working for this particular girl. So they're all in agreement that if I'm not making any progress with my client, I will tell the team about it and we'll find the best fit and we'll switch her over to something else. Okay. So in addition to the equine therapy, we want to have a lot of modalities available. So we have what each girl needs right there at the ranch. They'll be schooled probably online unless we're able to find a girls only school, because school is, they are hypersexualized, right? Mm-hmm. So getting them around young men is probably not a good idea. They're not going to know how to behave in a different way other than a sexualized way with men. It's going to be difficult for them to have a platonic relationship that's healthy. So until they really understand how to do that, having them online schooled with other girls or in person with other girls or online is probably the way to go. We'll have about 3 homes to start out with and 24 girls. And the reason we're creating homes is because we don't want it to feel like a facility. We want to feel like home. So there'd be 8 girls in each house and 2 house moms that take care of the girls. They'll also have a little regenerative agricultural area where they're farming so they can get their hands in the soil, because there's something so healing about growing your own food and learning how to cook for yourself and take care of a home and take care of each other in that way. A lot of healing comes from them just being with a peer group that's been exactly through what they've been through.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So that additional, let's take care of each other. Let's take care of the plants and the goats and the chickens and, all of this, and have that element to life and being in a beautiful, pristine nature setting so that Mother Nature herself can be speaking to them gently every day as they walk out and see the sun rising and the beautiful weather. And so that's sort of the idea behind that. It's going to be a home, not a facility. Right. And a family.
I love that.
Family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So right now we're looking at bringing it to the Camp Verde area. We have a property in mind up there that used to be a golf course. It has 108 acres and 12,000 square foot of buildings that we could repurpose. So that would be fabulous. It's for the low price of $2.4 million. But yeah, that's actually a steal for a golf course. It's been sitting there for 10 years.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and
So you have
before
a chance.
we have a chance, right? And yeah, and
Yeah.
before it was a golf course, it was an orchard, an apple orchard. Doesn't that sound meant to be,
Oh,
right? Applejack
yes.
apple orchard.
Yes.
So it can be used for agricultural land, and it's been fallow for 10 years. So that means that the soil is ready, right? So there's some potential there. So that's one idea, but we're open to free property too, for sure. So if you know anybody with free property, have them talk to me. We would like
Yeah.
it to be like central Arizona where it's not too hot in the summer so that
Yeah.
equine therapy can happen all year long and we're not stressing out the horses and the people, you know.
Right.
So yeah, we would like us to be able to do the agricultural stuff all year long as well. So somewhere where the winter's not too severe and the summer is also not too severe. So that's like Verde Valley, Sedona, Camp Verde, all those places up there, Cottonwood, those kinds, Prescott, that kind of area.
I can envision it because, well, I drive through Camp Verde quite often when I'm going from one place to another in the state. So, so I'm familiar with the area. I think it would be perfect, actually.
Yes.
And I can't wait to come and see it. So, all right, let's talk about what kind of support you're looking for. And there's several different ways. So just give us the skinny on that. Like what are you looking for? Besides money, which is like very important, but that money is going to come from somewhere.
Money, right? Yes,
Money.
absolutely. Yeah. First and foremost, we are doing our capital campaign. We just applied for 501c3 status about 6 months ago. And when you do that, it's about a 6-month wait for approval. So fingers crossed, any date's going to be Christmas. Just give it another second, it'll be Christmas. Yes. So that's where we are with that. So that once you apply for that, you can start raising funds, and any funds you raise are retroactively tax deductible. As soon as that approval comes in, it's tax deductible.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so that's how it works. They want you to be able to start raising funds even though it's not in yet. So I appreciate that. So we are right now holding these Get to Know Applejack's Ranch events where we will go to a person's office or their home. If they have even just 5 people, Marcella and I will come to the home. Marcella is my vice chair and I'm the chair of the board. She will talk about her own trauma experience and about prevention and awareness. And then I will tell the Applejack's Ranch story like I told here and what our main mission goals are, just to build the community. We won't ask for money at these events. It's about, do you want to be part of what we're doing? In what way would you like to be part? And do you know someone else that you think could help us? So that's exactly what these events are about. So we're really, right now, that's what we're doing. Build the community, build, build, build. We need all the support we can get when those funds come in. And we need to do a barn raising. We need to know who to call, right? Yeah. So that's really, there's experts that we're still looking for. We don't have a pro bono lawyer willing to work with us before we're funded. So we've had one person work for us for like an hour in that space. We're looking for that lawyer who's willing to wait until we have funds before they're paid, but they're willing to do the work anyway. We're right now interviewing grant writers. So if someone's interested in grant writing, that's also another space. We're looking for a director of marketing. And of course, there's other places on the main team. There's lots of different areas. If you think about it, there's all sorts of areas of expertise that are needed for a project this big. We're talking about needing to know about how to grow plants. I mean, I have a black thumb, so it's not going to be me.
Me too.
It's leading that part of it. You know, I would love to come help, but I'm going to need some guidance. You know, anybody that knows about horses, anybody that knows about the foster care system and helping us interact with them, because we do want to interact with them and work with caseworkers. And we want to know more about adoption, because we know the best place for these girls is a family. So for those that are eligible to be adopted, we would like to connections with adoption agencies interested in working with us. So yes, connections with kindred spirit orgs that are doing different kinds of along the way. It takes a lot of us. It takes the police, it takes the medical, it takes the drug detox centers, you know, all sorts of the 90-day programs. They're all doing the pieces before we get the girls, in order for the girls to come to us. To be introduced to them and to have connections with them is huge for us too. So that's some of the things.
Yeah, so there are a lot of ways that people can contribute, and I imagine you're looking. for some kind of big businesses to potentially sponsor Applejack's Ranch?
Absolutely. Yes. Business
Yeah.
sponsors are huge. Yes. And we do
Yeah.
allow for them to do marketing at our fundraisers and put their logos up on our site and everything like that. Whatever we can do to make it a win-win relationship with them, we would love to have. We're just now launching a team to go talk to businesses. So our sponsorship team. So yeah, that's absolutely would be good for us. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to commit to hosting something at my house just because
Thank you.
I'm in Arizona and
Right.
we're close. You can get to my house pretty quickly. And so you and I will talk about that. We'll get something on the calendar. And I just want to invite everybody out there who's took the time to listen to this to share this video or let people know where you can find Applejack's Ranch, which is what AJ is going to tell us about now. Where can you find all the information about Applejack's Ranch?
Just go to applejacksranch.org. On there, we also have a Facebook page, Applejack's Ranch /Facebook. No, other way. Facebook, Applejack's Ranch. Yes. We have Twitter and we have Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. And all of those links are on the front page, front and center of the applejacksranch.org site. Right now, we have a donation GoFundMe up. So if you go to donate, it'll take you to a GoFundMe page. We're still setting up, having a credit card processor and doing it all in-house. That's still part of the setup that's going on. Mm-hmm. However, you can contribute with the fundraiser GoFundMe page.
Okay.
That donate button is also front and center on the website. So
okay,
easy to see.
If you're in the Phoenix area and you love this idea of helping young women heal from sex trafficking, if you love horses, if you love nature, if you love ranches, yes, consider hosting an event with AJ and, getting the word out, because I think this is a beautiful mission. So AJ, thank you for coming and telling us about your reinvention to a nonprofit founder.
I know,
extraordinary. Yes. Well, and you know what? It's so funny how, all that work you did with your kids really strengthened you and bolstered you to do something, I don't want to say bigger, because I think raising kids is a big deal. Like, I was a stay-at-home mom for a very long time. Yes. And you pour your heart into those kids and it pays off, Mm-hmm. And so it prepared you well, I think, for this next chapter in your life. And I'm super excited for you. So thank you for sharing. And
thank you. Yes. Yeah. I really believe that the compassion and the nurturing part of me that came from being a mother all those years, gave me the place to see from another person's perspective what that might be like. And that's what made me the right person. And also just the excitement, enthusiasm that I have when I go around, and it's easy to enroll for me because I'm so excited about it. Right. So I didn't really need to have expertise in how to do the legal part and the finance and make a business plan and all this, because what I just needed to bring those people to me and let them be the experts, and just know all I needed to do was hold the vision and make sure it stays true to my heart, the compassion I'm feeling for these girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it definitely, I do think you're right. It prepared me. Yes.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, thanks for coming, AJ. You and I will be in touch. Anyone else who's been watching tonight, thank you for joining us.
Good night.